In the cold silence of deep space, a forgotten shape drifted among the stars. It was a ship, enormous and dark, hidden for longer than memory could hold. Its metal skin was scarred by old battles, its hull painted with marks from weapons no living race remembered. For 40,000 years, no one had seen such a ship move. For 40,000 years, humanity was silent, and the galaxy believed them gone. But tonight, in a corner of space where no patrols watched, lights began to flicker inside the dead warship. A low hum echoed through its empty corridors. Dust floated in the stale air, untouched since the last human walked there. One by one, systems powered up, old screens glowing with pale light. Deep in its core, ancient engines trembled, like a heart beating again after eternal sleep. The ship had no living crew, no voices, no footsteps, yet something unseen stirred within it, something that felt alive far away. A small alien scout vessel crossed the sector. Its sensors caught the energy spike and the pilot frowned. Nothing should exist there. It was a graveyard of forgotten machines. The pilot adjusted course, moving closer. Curiosity stronger than fear. At first, the scout only saw darkness, but then the stars shifted around a shadow. The warship emerged, as if the void itself had given birth to a ghost. The alien froze, heart racing. Legends told of the humans, warriors who burned across the galaxy like fire. No one alive had ever seen them, but stories of their power lived on in whispered warnings. The pilot tried to believe it was just wreckage drifting in silence, but then the warship's eyes lit up, rows of windows and sensors glowing like angry stars. A deep signal burst across the void, shaking the scout ship to its core. The alien scrambled to pull away, engines roaring, but in one flash the warship moved faster than thought. The scout's shields collapsed as the ghost ship scanned it. The pilot felt as if something was looking inside their very soul, and then silence again. The warship turned its attention elsewhere and ignored the tiny vessel. The scout ship limped away, alive but shaken, carrying terror back to its people. Inside the warship, echoes filled the halls. Old recordings played faintly, voices of long-dead humans. Orders shouted, battle cries, laughter, songs of victory. They mixed together like shadows of a forgotten age. The ship's central AI pulsed, fragments of thought scattered like broken mirrors. It searched, it waited, it remembered. The galaxy had forgotten the humans, but the ship had not. Every scar on its armor was a memory, every silent corridor a tomb of heroes. It had slept because it was commanded to sleep. It had awakened because something, some hidden signal, some distant call, had told it to rise. The warship began to move, slowly at first, then with certainty. Its ancient engines lit up, flooding the darkness with fire. Alien worlds far away picked up its signal. At first they dismissed it as static, a glitch of the stars. But soon the truth spread across the trade routes. A human ship was moving again. Fear returned to the galaxy like a shadow across the sun. Old stories became alive once more. Some remembered humans as saviors, others as monsters. But all agreed on one thing: if humanity had returned, nothing would stay the same. Back on the ghost ship, more systems woke. Weapons hummed with hidden power. Shields shimmered faintly. Long-dead crew were gone. Yet the ship acted as if it still had a purpose. It plotted a course unknown to any outsider. Its path was clear, straight to the galactic core. No fleet dared to follow, not yet. They only watched from afar, trembling, wondering why the ghost moved and what it would awaken next. The stars were silent witnesses as the warship crossed the black sea of space. No songs, no voices, only the steady drum of its engines. The ship was a ghost, but it was not empty. It carried the weight of a species, the silence of 40,000 years. And somewhere deep in its heart, something waited to be heard again. The galaxy did not know yet, but the silence of humanity was ending. The ship that walked the stars was awake, and its return was only the beginning. The council chamber floated above a dying star, its walls made of glass so clear the fire below burned through like a warning. Across the table sat rulers, generals, and priests of many alien races. Their voices hushed, though no enemy stood near. The message had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The ghost of humanity had awakened. The ship that should have been nothing but dust now moved with purpose, and no one knew why. The first to speak was a scaled warrior of the Drask Empire, his voice sharp and cold. I saw the recordings, I felt the signal myself. It was not just metal waking, it was will, human will. The others shifted uneasily, each remembering the ancient stories long ago, Humans had stood against armies larger than themselves. They were not the oldest race, not the strongest in flesh. But they carried something that made the stars fear them. An elder of the Orin collective clicked her mandibles together. 40,000 years we lived without their fire. We believed it gone forever. Our children forgot the taste of their wars. If they return now, what balance will remain? We built empires on their silence. We are not ready to face them again. Her words echoed the thought in every mind, though few dared to say it out loud. In the corner, a small scout captain trembled. He was the one who had seen the ghost ship first. His tiny vessel had survived only because the human warship allowed it. He told his story again, voice cracking. It looked at me. It looked through me like I was nothing. It could have destroyed me in one breath, yet it did not. It let me go. Why? Silence filled the chamber, and that silence was heavier than any sound. The priests of the Vara Dominion whispered among themselves. They had always taught that humans were not gone but waiting. To them, the return of the ghost was not terror but prophecy fulfilled. One priest stood, robes glowing with symbols of flame. The ghosts of man return because the stars are sick. War consumes us, greed blinds us, we have lost the path. They rise not to destroy but to guide, the general scoffed. Yet none could dismiss the priest's certainty. As arguments grew louder, the warship itself continued its silent journey. It passed near dead worlds, places once burned by war, where alien miners now dug through ruins. They felt their machines fail. Sensors crackled, engines froze, and still the warship glided past untouched. Like a shadow of judgment moving through the night across the galaxy, fear spread like fire. Merchants halted their routes, soldiers tightened their borders. Old alliances formed overnight. Enemies shook hands in secret. All agreed on one thing. The ghost could not be allowed to awaken whatever it sought. Yet none dared strike first. For who would be the one to challenge the legend of humanity? In hidden corners of space, small factions plotted. Some dreamed of capturing the ship, stealing its secrets. Others wanted to destroy it before it called more of its kind. And a few, the boldest, whispered that they should kneel to it. For if humanity truly returned, resistance might mean extinction. Inside the ship itself, the AI fragments continued to stir. Pieces of memory collided. Battle songs, command codes, voices of long-dead captains. It spoke not in one voice, but in thousands. Yet in its chaos, a single purpose began to form. The ship was searching, not wandering. It carried coordinates burned deep into its ancient heart. The galactic core awaited, and nothing would stand in its way. A small alien vessel dared to follow for a time. It was cloaked, hidden by the latest technology. But as the warship passed near a star, its cloak fell apart like paper in fire. The ghost ship turned, and in one blink the vessel's systems shut down. No attack came, no weapon fired. Instead, a voice broke through its comms, deep and human. Not yet, it said. Only 2 words, then silence. The alien crew wept in terror, for the voice had spoken in their own tongue. Back in the council chamber, the debate raged without end. One faction demanded war, another begged for peace. And as they argued, more signals came. The warship's journey was not hidden. It was broadcast in ancient human codes, codes that no one living should understand. Yet every empire could read them. Each message carried the same warning. We are not gone, we are watching, we are coming. The galaxy trembled. For if one ghost could spread such fear, what would happen if more followed? If the silence of humanity was broken forever, would the stars burn with war again, or would they be forced to bow before the forgotten masters of fire and steel? The warship did not answer, it only moved, and with every step, the galaxy felt the shadow of its return grow darker. What it sought at the galactic core remained hidden. But every race now knew the truth. The silence had been broken, and nothing would ever be the same again. The ghost ship drifted through the void like a predator in the dark, its massive frame glowing faintly with the light of reawakened systems. It moved with purpose, never straying, never slowing, as if some invisible hand guided it toward its destiny. Behind it, whispers grew louder across the galaxy, and fear spread further than any fleet could travel. But inside the warship, in the silent halls where no living footsteps echoed, something far stranger was happening. Old machines woke one after another, screens lit up, projectors flickered, and fragments of memory spilled into the air like broken dreams. The walls themselves became storytellers, replaying echoes of a past no alien had ever seen with living eyes. Human voices, deep and fierce, filled the ship once more. Battle cries, orders, laughter, a sorrow all overlapping into a storm of ghosts. The warship was not empty. It carried the weight of its people's history, and it was determined to remember. One fragment played in the command chamber. A captain stood at the bridge, his voice sharp as steel. "We fight not because we are many, but because we are human. And that is enough." Another fragment overlapped. A soldier singing in the dark of the barracks. Another, a woman whispering goodbye to her child before launch. And then the chaos of war. Alarms blaring. Weapons firing. Screams swallowed by silence. The ship remembered, and in remembering it grew stronger. It fed on these fragments like a mind piecing itself together after endless sleep. And the more it remembered, the more the galaxy trembled, because each signal it released into the void carried those memories. Alien listeners intercepted them, at first curious, then horrified. They heard the voices of a species long dead, speaking as if they still lived, and worse. The voices spoke not in ancient human tongue, but in the language of those who listened. Every race heard the memories in their own speech, as if the humans were speaking directly to them. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy began to see humanity not as myth but as a presence. They realized that silence did not mean weakness. Silence was only the deep breath before a storm. A fleet of the Jern Dominion, bold and greedy, tried to intercept the ghost ship. They were armed with weapons of the latest age, beams and cannons that could tear moons apart. They cornered the warship near a barren star, confident in their numbers. Their commander broadcast across the void, his voice mocking, "Your time is gone, human relic. We are the rulers of this age. You are nothing but rust." The ghost ship answered not with words but with action. In a single strike, its weapons lit the dark with fire not seen for 40,000 years. One ship was cut apart, another disabled. The rest fired back, but their beams scattered uselessly across the human shields. It was not a battle, it was a lesson. The warship did not destroy them all. It only crippled them. It left survivors so they could tell the story, so they could spread the fear inside the crippled ships. Alien crews stared in disbelief. Their weapons were the strongest their people had ever built. Yet they were toys before the ghost, and when the warship vanished again into the dark, their commander whispered in despair, "If this is only one ship, what will happen if there are more?" Meanwhile, the ship's journey continued. Its AI fragments pulsed with rising energy. Now they no longer spoke in broken shards. They began to form a single voice, a voice that sounded human. It whispered through the ship's corridors. "We are not gone, we are not forgotten. We are still here." And the ship itself seemed to listen, its engines roaring with fresh strength. The galaxy watched with terror, but also curiosity. Some races began to dig into their oldest archives. They searched for any scrap of history about the humans, and what they found chilled them. Records of wars where humans fought against impossible odds. Tales of fleets shattered, empires brought low. And the most haunting fact of all, the humans chose silence. They were not defeated. They had walked away, leaving the galaxy to itself, but now they had returned. And no one could understand why. As the ghost ship passed deeper into unexplored sectors, it released another burst of signals. This time they were not memories but warnings. The same message repeated again and again. Do not follow. Do not resist. The silence is ending. Some dismissed it as empty threat, but others knew better. The humans never spoke without reason. If they said the silence was ending, then something far greater was waiting at the journey's end. In the war councils of powerful empires, leaders fought over what to do. Attack and risk destruction, or wait and risk doom. Some argued that the ship must be destroyed before it reached its destination. Others whispered that perhaps joining it would be wiser. A few even dreamed of bending the humans to their will. But none truly believed they could control the ghosts. Back on the ship, deeper systems stirred awake. Locked vaults opened and sealed data poured into the AI's mind. The ship revealed its true mission. It was not wandering. It was seeking something hidden at the galactic core, something that would change everything. The AI's new voice, strong and clear now, echoed through its halls. Awakening begins. The time of silence is over. And as the warship pressed on, the galaxy felt a shift, not just fear but expectation. For the first time in 40,000 years, humanity was no longer a memory. They were a presence, and their ghost carried the promise of something greater than war, something the galaxy could not yet understand. But one truth was clear. The stars would never be the same again. The ghost ship moved like a shadow between the stars. Silent and steady, its course never wavered. Its engines burned with a light older than empires. Across the galaxy, fleets stirred, soldiers prepared, and rulers whispered of its coming. Some called it a relic, some called it a weapon, but all agreed. It was human, and that made it dangerous. At the edge of the Solari expanse, an alien fleet gathered in secret. 20 warships of the Cora Dominion, armed with the newest weapons of the age. Their commander, Admiral Rith, stood on his bridge with eyes full of ambition. He had heard the fear, he had heard the myths, but to him it was all weakness. If this ghost is real, he said, then it is ours to capture. Imagine the power we will wield. Imagine the empires that will kneel when we command human fire. His officers nodded, though unease lingered in their hearts. They knew the stories too, and stories have weight in the void. They laid their trap near a dead star, a place where gravity swallowed light. Sensors stretched like webs, minds floated hidden, and the fleet waited, and soon, as if destiny itself answered, the warship arrived. It slipped into the system without fear, as though it had known of the ambush all along. Admiral Rith smiled, convinced his prey was within his grasp. Close the net, he ordered, and the Dominion fleet moved. Ships surrounded the ghost, weapons armed, beams aimed at its ancient hull. The Admiral's voice filled the void, broadcast to the human ship. You are surrounded, Relic. Surrender your systems. Surrender your secrets. Your silence is over. And now your power belongs to us. For a moment, the warship gave no answer. It drifted as if lifeless. Engines dim, weapons cold. The Dominion ships crept closer, their confidence swelling. Then, with no warning, the stars themselves seemed to burn. The ghost ship's hull lit with fire, shields blossomed like suns, and a voice deep and calm filled every channel. You do not command us. What followed was not a battle, it was a lesson. The Dominion fleet unleashed everything they had. Beams carved the void, missiles streaked like comets. But the human warship moved with impossible grace. Its weapons fired only once, each shot precise. A destroyer's engines cut apart. A cruiser's weapons silenced. A carrier stripped of its shields. In minutes, 20 ships became wrecks, drifting helplessly in the dark. Yet the ghost ship did not destroy them. It left them alive, stripped of pride and power. Admiral Rith watched his fleet collapse, his voice breaking with disbelief. This cannot be, no machine, no ghost. No myth should hold such strength. But the warship's voice answered again, cold and eternal. Strength is not given. Strength is chosen. Humanity chose long ago, when the warship vanished into the dark once more. The survivors sent word. They told the galaxy not of their defeat, but of their mercy. The ghost ship had spared them, and that terrified them more than death. Because mercy meant intent, mercy meant purpose. The humans were not blind weapons, they were awake, and they were thinking across other worlds. Whispers grew into storms. Priests declared the ghost a holy sign. Rebels claimed it as their ally. Empires trembled at the thought that it could not be stopped. Some began to wonder if resistance itself was foolish, if perhaps the only path was to bend before the humans returned in full. Inside the ghost ship, the AI pulsed brighter. Its voice no longer fragmented, no longer broken. It spoke clearly now, not just to itself but into the void. Observation complete, resistance measured. Next phase begins. Its journey had only one direction, toward the galactic core, but now the galaxy knew. It could not be captured. It could not be controlled among the stars. Small ships followed at a distance, spies, scouts, seekers of truth. Some were destroyed by their own fear. Abandoning their missions, others kept chasing, desperate to learn where the ship was going. One such vessel, a fragile explorer from the Kalari Union, dared to approach closer than any before. Its captain opened a channel, voice trembling. If you are truly human, if you are truly alive, why return now? Why break the silence? For long minutes there was no answer. Only the thrum of the ghost ship's engines, then like thunder across a storm. The human voice came. The silence was never death. It was choice. You were not ready, the stars were not ready. But now the time has come. The alien captain wept, not from terror but from awe, because in that voice was no hatred, no arrogance, only a weight, a promise, something greater than war. The message spread, carried by frightened scouts and broken fleets. The ghost ship was not a wandering relic, it was a messenger. And its message was clear. The silence of humanity was over. But what they would bring with no one yet knew, hope or fire, mercy or conquest. The galaxy could only wait, trembling as the ship pressed ever closer to the heart of all things. And in the dark, unseen by any eye, the warship whispered to itself, "We are not alone. We never were. And soon they will know what we became." The ghost ship entered a forgotten region of space, a place so ancient that even maps no longer named it. Here stars were dim and broken, their light weak, their planets frozen in endless night. Yet the warship moved with certainty, as if it knew this place well, as if it had been waiting to return. Its course brought it to a world cracked and lifeless, a planet that once shone bright in the age of legends. Now, only ruins and ash remained. But beneath its surface, something still slept. The ship descended into orbit, its engines silent, its presence heavy. From deep inside, vault doors long sealed began to stir. Buried beneath mountains of stone, ancient mechanisms turned, and the planet itself seemed to awaken in answer to the warship's call. The galaxy had wondered where the ship was going, what it was seeking. Now the answer revealed itself. The warship was not just a ghost. It was a key. As the vault opened, light spilled across the dark surface. Columns of energy rose, feeding into the warship. Inside the ghost ship, the AI's voice grew louder, stronger, no longer fragmented. It whispered to the empty halls. Phase 2 begins. Screens lit up with new commands. Long-hidden codes unlocked, and deep within the vault, something stirred. Machines, chambers, and the faint outline of forms preserved in stasis. The galaxy's sensors picked up the surge of power. Fleets rushed to watch from afar, their commanders frozen with disbelief. The humans, they left something behind, whispered one alien admiral. No one had ever seen such a vault. No one had ever guessed humanity had hidden more than ships. But now the truth began to rise from the darkness. Humanity had not simply vanished. They had prepared for their return. Inside the vault, stasis pods cracked open. Not many, not armies, but enough to remind the galaxy that humans were more than myths. Tall figures stepped out, their eyes burning with the fire of ages. Not weak, not fragile, but warriors of a forgotten age. Preserved in time's embrace, the first of them stumbled, breathing the air of a world after 40,000 years. The AI's voice greeted them, steady and commanding. "Welcome back, children of silence. The galaxy awaits." The humans were not countless, they were few, but even a handful of them filled the air with power. Every movement carried memory, every breath carried weight. One of them, a soldier with scars even stasis could not erase, gazed at the stars and whispered, "So much has changed. But so little has been learned." They were awake, and their awakening was enough to shake the galaxy. News spread faster than light. Alien rulers trembled as they heard the reports, not just of the ship, but of living humans walking once more. Some refused to believe it, calling it a trick. Others knew in their hearts the truth could not be denied. If even a few humans had returned, then more could follow, and if more followed, no empire would be safe. The Cora Dominion, humiliated after their failed ambush, declared war at once. They sent fleets to surround the vault world, determined to crush humanity before it rose again. But the ghost ship stood above the planet like a guardian. Its weapons hummed with deadly light. Its shields burned with unbroken fire. The Dominion's fleets hesitated, for even in their rage, they knew what one mistake could cost inside the vault. The newly awakened humans armed themselves. They carried weapons older than the stars, blades and rifles forged in wars forgotten by every other race. Yet their greatest weapon was not steel but spirit. One woman, her voice calm but sharp, said to her kin, "We do not rise to conquer. We rise to finish what we began." Her words were carried through the AI's speakers, broadcast across the system. Every listening ear trembled. For her voice was not just sound, it was promise. The galaxy asked itself the question it feared most. Had humanity returned to bring hope or to bring fire? No answer came, only the image of a ghost ship and a world glowing with new life. But in the silence of waiting, fear grew sharper, because every empire knew, whether they wished it or not, the balance of the stars was breaking. Above the planet, the ghost ship moved again. Its engines roared, its weapons pulsed, and its course turned toward the galactic core once more. Now it carried not only memory but living crew. The humans, though few, stood within its halls, learning, remembering, and preparing. Their voices joined the AI's whispers, filling the corridors with the sound of life after endless death. And the galaxy, watching with unblinking eyes, understood the truth at last. Humanity had not been defeated. Not erased, not forgotten. They had slept, hidden, waiting for the right moment. And now, the silence that had lasted 40,000 years was shattered forever. The ghost ship no longer sailed alone. It carried humanity's return. And with every step it took toward the heart of the galaxy, the stars themselves seemed to tremble, for they knew the age of silence was over, and the age of humanity had begun again. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Where once the name of humanity had been only a whisper, now it was a storm on every world. The ghost ship had awakened its frozen crew, and with them came fire. Empires that once ruled with certainty now felt unease in their bones. For if a handful of humans could shake the stars, what would happen if more awoke? The first blows fell in secret. An alliance of alien fleets gathered in the dark between systems. The Cora Dominion, still bleeding from their failure, brought warships. The Oran Collective, fearful of prophecy, brought assassins and shadowcraft. Even the proud Drask Empire lent its blades, though their generals argued over whether it was wisdom or cowardice. They named their union the Shield of Stars, though deep down they knew they were not a shield but a noose. Their goal was clear: strike before the humans grew strong. Destroy the ghost ship before it reached the core. The trap was laid near the hollow of a red dwarf. Hundreds of ships, weapons humming, engines hidden in the shadow of dead worlds. They believed their unity would be enough, but unity born of fear is brittle, and the humans would soon teach them why. The ghost ship entered the system without hesitation. Its engines left trails of silver fire, its hull glowing with shields alive once more within its corridors. The awakened crew stood beside their AI guardian. They were few in number, but their presence filled the warship like an army. Each soldier carried memory. Each step carried defiance, and their captain, a scarred woman with eyes like burning suns, whispered to her crew, "They fear us, and fear is the sharpest weapon we have." The ambush came swift, beams and missiles lighting the void in a storm of death. The Shield of Stars unleashed everything. The black of space became brighter than day. The humans did not flinch. Their warship roared in answer. Its shields bent but did not break. Its weapons spoke with deadly precision. Every shot found a target. Every strike crippled a ship. It was not war. It was poetry written in fire. Yet the battle was not one-sided. The Shield of Stars had numbers beyond count. They swarmed, they adapted. They sought to smother the ghost beneath endless metal. And for the first time, the humans felt the weight of their fewness. Hull plates screamed, alarms rang, corridors shook with impacts. The warship bled light into the dark. Inside, humans and AI fought as one, not with panic but with grim determination. A Drask boarding vessel managed to pierce the hull. Alien warriors stormed the corridors, their blades sharp, their roars savage. The humans met them hand to hand. Ancient rifles fired. Steel clashed with alien bone. One soldier laughed as he fought, the sound echoing down the halls. For 40,000 years we waited, and you think we forgot how to fight? The boarders fell, their blood painting the walls. The warship sealed its wounds and pressed on. Outside, alien commanders watched in disbelief. Every maneuver they made, the ghost countered. Every weapon they unleashed, the ghost endured. But they also saw the truth. The humans could not fight forever. Their ship was mighty, but even legends have limits. And so the Shield of Stars pressed harder, desperate to bury the ghost inside the command chamber. The captain stood unbroken. Her eyes blazed as the AI whispered to her, options limited, survival probability decreasing. She smiled, teeth bared like a predator. Then we do what humans always do. We turn survival into victory. The warship unleashed a tactic no alien had ever seen. It shut down its lights, its engines, its shields. For a heartbeat, it became a corpse drifting in the dark. The enemy surged forward, believing it dead, and then the ghost came alive again. Weapons igniting point blank. Dozens of ships shattered in an instant, their remains scattering like sparks. The Shield of Stars faltered, terror spreading faster than commands, and the ghost ship, though battered, carved its path free. The survivors of the Alliance limped away. Broken and humiliated, their unity collapsed. Their trust shattered, for in their failure, they had proven the very fear that drove them together. No alliance, no number, no plan was enough. The humans had returned, and nothing could stop them. But inside the warship, the victory felt hollow. Repairs drained their strength, losses weighed heavy. The humans knew they were not invincible. They were few. They were hunted. and the galaxy's hatred grew sharper with each passing hour. The captain stood in silence, staring at the map of stars. "The galaxy unites against us," she said softly. "Good, let them unite, for when they stand together, we will show them what unity truly means." The warship set its course once more for the galactic core. Behind it lay wreckage and silence. Ahead of it lay mystery and destiny. And across the galaxy, enemies plotted anew. The shield of stars had failed. But others whispered of darker plans. War was coming, greater than any the galaxy had ever seen. But in the heart of the ghost ship, humanity's fire burned unbroken. They had faced the galaxy united, and still they endured. And endurance, they knew, was the seed of victory. The ghost ship drifted through the wounded silence of space. Scarred but unbroken, behind it lay the wreckage of hundreds of enemy vessels. Shattered proof that even united, the galaxy could not bring it down. Yet the humans who stood inside its steel halls knew a darker truth. This war was not about victory alone. It was about meaning, about why their kind had slept for 40,000 years, and why now, at this moment, they had awakened. The ship's AI, once a broken whisper of scattered voices, now spoke with clarity. It carried the weight of countless memories, countless choices, and as the humans listened, the past unfolded before them like a curtain pulled away from a stage. Long ago, before the silence, humanity had not been defeated. They had been ascendant, their fleets unmatched, their courage unbroken. Alien empires rose against them, and each was cast down. World after world bent the knee or burned in the storm of human fire. But humanity saw what the galaxy could not. The wars would never end. Every empire fought not for survival but for power. And if humanity continued its march, the stars themselves would drown in endless war. So they made a choice. Not to vanish, not to die, but to withdraw. To walk away from the galaxy and leave behind only ruins, silence, and legends. They buried their weapons, sealed their warriors, hid their greatest ships, and whispered one command to the AI guardians: sleep until the galaxy forgets, and wake only when the stars cry for us again. The crew of the ghost ship stood in silence as this truth washed over them. They were not survivors of a fallen people. They were heirs of a deliberate silence. One soldier clenched his fists, voice breaking with fury. All this time, they left us buried. They left us frozen while the galaxy forgot our name. The captain placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes hard but steady. They left us because they believed the galaxy would one day need us more than it feared us. And that day had come. The galaxy was burning again, its empires bloated, arrogant, and divided. The silence had been broken not because humanity sought revenge, but because humanity had returned to end the cycle. Yet the galaxy did not see salvation, only a threat. Worlds trembled at the sight of the ghost ship. Fleets gathered in greater numbers, preparing for a war of shadows and fire. And still, within the ghost, the humans prepared. They studied the fragments of history the AI revealed. They learned of forgotten victories and lost tragedies. And they realized that the silence had been both a curse and a gift. In the shadows of the galactic core, the warship drew closer to its true destination. Not a planet, not a star, but a construct older than memory. A citadel of steel and stone hidden inside a nebula. It had slept for millennia, unseen, untouched. And as the ghost approached, its walls lit with the faint glow of awakening. The captain gazed upon it and whispered, "This is what they left for us." The AI confirmed, "The citadel of silence, where the last council of humanity gave their final order. Within its halls lay the truth of their mission, why they had been called, why their silence had ended." The humans stepped inside, their footsteps echoing through endless chambers. And there, carved into walls of steel, they found the message of their ancestors. It spoke not of conquest, not of glory, but of responsibility. We left the galaxy to its own path. We gave them time to grow, to rise without our shadow. But if the day comes when war consumes all, when the stars forget peace, then return not as conquerors but as shepherds. Return to remind them that unity is greater than power. And that silence can be broken not only by fire, but by hope. The crew stood in awe, their hearts torn between pride and sorrow. One whispered, "We are not here to destroy them. We are here to save them." The captain nodded, though her eyes carried the weight of war. "Then we must survive no matter what, because if we fall, the galaxy will never know the truth." But outside the citadel, enemies gathered. The shield of stars had failed. But darker coalitions had risen. Assassins, spies, and fleets crept toward the nebula. They did not care for truth, they cared only for power. And they would not allow humanity to speak its message. Not if silencing them again meant keeping the galaxy under their rule. The ghost ship powered its weapons once more. Its hull burned with fire, its engines roared. But this time, its crew did not fight only for survival. They fought for the legacy of their kind. They fought to carry the truth of silence into a galaxy that had forgotten it. The stars trembled as the warship left the citadel behind, carrying with it the final will of humanity's past. The captain stood tall on the bridge, her voice calm. They will call us monsters. They will call us ghosts, but in the end, they will learn we are neither. We are the silence broken, and the future reborn. And with that, the ghost ship pressed forward, its course unbroken, its mission clear. The galaxy braced for war, but humanity carried more than weapons in its return. They carried the truth, and the truth was more dangerous than any fleet. The ghost ship cut through the dark like a spear of fire, its battered hull glowing with the scars of battles survived. Behind it lay the citadel of silence, and within its memory, banks burned the last command of ancient humanity. They had not returned for conquest alone. They had returned to bring an end to the endless cycle of war. But the galaxy did not see salvation, only a threat too great to ignore. And so every empire, every kingdom, every dominion of stars gathered their fleets for the final strike. The war to end the silence began at the edge of the galactic core. Thousands of ships filled the void, a sea of steel and fire. Cruisers, dreadnoughts, carriers, all armed with weapons meant to break worlds. The airwaves thundered with declarations, some fearful, some furious. No more ghosts, no more humans. Tonight the silence is made eternal. The galaxy's hatred united them at last, but against them stood only one ship, the last human warship. The ghost itself, inside its corridors, the crew prepared. They were few, each one scarred by the weight of 40,000 years, yet none wavered, for they had seen the truth in the citadel. They knew why they had returned, and they would not fall before completing their mission. The captain stood at the bridge, her eyes fixed on the endless fleets before her. Her voice was steady, sharp as a blade. They believe numbers make them strong, but unity built on fear will break. We are not fighting to destroy them. We are fighting to show them the truth. The AI's voice answered, cold and calm. Survival probability less than 3%. The captain smiled faintly. Then we have them exactly where we want them. The first strike came without warning. Missiles like comets, beams brighter than suns. The ghost ship shook under the fury of 1,000 weapons. Its shield screamed, its hull cracked, but it did not fall. It answered with fire older than any empire, cannons thundered. Beams of impossible light carved through enemy lines. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. The galaxy had never seen war like this. One ship against 1,000. And that one ship was winning. Yet the tide pressed harder. Every empire threw its might into the storm. The ghost bled light into the void, its armor breaking, its weapons dimming. But inside, the humans fought on. They met borders in the halls. Blades flashing, rifles roaring, blood stained the steel. But the laughter of warriors echoed louder. One soldier shouted as he struck down an alien foe. You cannot kill what has already outlived your empires. The battle raged for hours, the void itself burned with wreckage. The corpses of fleets drifting like shattered worlds. Still the ghost endured. Still it cut its way forward until finally, at the heart of the enemy lines, the captain gave her final command. Activate the beacon. The ship's core blazed with light. From its heart, a signal burst across the galaxy. Not a weapon, not a threat, but a message. It carried the voices of ancient humans, the words carved in the citadel of silence. Every world, every soldier, every ruler heard them. We left not because we were weak, but because we saw what you could not. War without end, power without reason. We slept so you could grow without our shadow. But now you are lost in the same darkness we once saw. We return not to conquer, but to remind you, unity is greater than power. Silence is greater than war. But if you force us, we will show you what war truly means. The fleets hesitated. Their weapons faltered. Soldiers who had come to kill felt their hands weaken. For the voice of humanity was not rage. It was conviction, and it was stronger than fear. Some ships lowered their weapons. Others still fought, blind with pride, but the fracture had begun. The unity of hate shattered under the weight of truth. The ghost ship, burning, broken, yet still alive, pushed deeper into the core. Its weapons firing not to destroy but to clear a path. Its message repeated across the stars, and slowly the galaxy realized that even in fire, the humans carried mercy. They could have annihilated, they could have erased. Instead, they chose to spare, to show restraint. And that frightened the empires more than destruction ever could. At last, the battle ended not with victory or defeat, but with silence. The fleets, shattered and scattered, limped back to their worlds. The warship, a ruin of fire and steel, drifted but did not fall. Inside, the surviving humans stood together, weary but unbroken. The captain, her voice hoarse, whispered the words that would echo for generations. For 40,000 years we were silent. Now the silence is broken, and it will never return. The galaxy would remember that day as the return of the ghosts. A day when one ship defied the stars. A day when humanity proved that legends are not dead stories, but living fire. And though the war was not over, though shadows still lingered, the truth was clear. Humanity had returned, and the age of silence was gone forever.